Hey guys, it's Rod from Huntington Company, and we are finally back with another Curated Collection video. Our Curated Collection series is a small glimpse into the vintage watch shop over at huntingtoncompany.com. And today I pulled out 4 vintage watches that I think are super special for us to take a closer look at. So with that being said, let's turn the camera around and see what I picked for this week's Curated Collection. First, we'll start with a reference 16233 Rolex Datejust. On paper, it's just a two-tone champagne Datejust. Now, yes, this one does come with its original box and papers, and even the original case back sticker. The Jubilee is super tight, but none of these are what make this watch so unique. If you haven't noticed yet, the dial is really not champagne anymore. It's turning more gold than it is champagne. Then, if you notice the yellow gold on the case and bracelet, it's a bit more rosy than what you would normally see on a two-tone Datejust. To sum it up, what we're looking at is a sapphire crystal, reference 16233, with an amazing tropical dial. Now, if you know anything about Rolex Datejusts, then you know that this specific reference really never has defects on the dial. You really don't find tropical patina. The reason for this patina is probably because this watch was stored away for a very long time in a very dark environment. This caused the gold tones to darken and oxidize into this beautiful, rosy, deep gold color. So it's not rare to find a tropical dial Rolex, but I can tell you for certain it is for this reference. And I keep reiterating it because it really isn't a vintage Rolex. This is neo-vintage. This is almost modern. So to have a dial like this is so unique. People love to talk about tropical dials, and some even misinterpret damage for patina, but this is just way too clean. This watch was taken care of and well kept. This is a true tropical dial. It's not something you see every day. So what you have here is a neo-vintage Rolex with true vintage character. Off to the next watch, one I personally love. I have a few Cartier tanks in my personal collection, including one just like this, but honestly not as good. This is the reference 78086, the most common out of the vintage Cartier tank models, coming from the late 70s and early 80s. It houses a manual on movement in a solid gold case with a simple and classic Cartier dial. There are 2 reasons why this specific example is so special. First, it's the Paris dial, not stating Swiss under the 6 o'clock. And second is the condition of the style. If you don't know about these 70s and 80s Cartier tanks, most of them, if not all of them, come with a lacquer finish on top of the painted dials. That means that when you find an example like this, it's actually pretty rare. The condition on this is special. What we have here is a perfect Paris dial without any spidering or hairline marks. This was purchased from the family of the original owner and even comes with a Cartier strap and buckle, and it has been untouched in original condition all this time. In summary, for this Cartier tank, we have a perfect all original example, one that deserves to be on someone's wrist. Rounding out this collection, I picked 2 very special and unique watches. One from Piaget and another from Movado. The Piaget is not one you might know about. It's the reference 17041, better known as the Piaget Tanagra. We've all seen the hype over this brand in the past couple of months, but it is well deserving in my opinion. During the same era, a brand like Cartier was focusing on design. Piaget was also working on something just as special: dial craftsmanship. Piaget is at the top of their game when it comes to both stone and diamond dials, and what we have here is a beautiful stone dial. The Tanagra is a more rounded out version of the Polo in my opinion, which is a nice change of pace since it's the model that everybody's talking about these days. At first look, the design might be a little intimidating, but once you get this on wrist, you'll see how special this watch truly is. The dial is absolutely beautiful. It has a lacquer finish in gloss white around the hour markers, and then that center lapis lazuli stone. The stone itself has a few bits of gold flake that you often find in lapis, which works perfectly in my opinion with the gold Piaget name and those Roman numerals. Altogether, this is a beautiful example of what Piaget was doing in the 80s and 90s. Now to end it off, and if you've been part of this Curated Collection series before, you know I always love to end it with a bang. and I think I did a pretty good job this time around. This is the first time I have ever seen one of these examples, and it's probably the first time for you also. And that is because of how rare this watch is. What we're looking at is a solid gold Movado tank Cintree from the 1930s. It embodies the era with its beautiful Art Deco dial, the blued hands, and that elongated tank case. The case is stamped Movado, and so is the movement, but not the dial. This one of the earliest Tiffany & Co. retailed Movados I could find online. I love everything about this watch. I love that it's Movado, I love its case shape, and I love that it says Tiffany right on that dial. To understand the beauty of this watch, we do have to talk about the Cartier Cintree, which was introduced in the 1920s. Cintree literally stands for curved, which is what this watch is. Also, if you were able to find a Cintree from the 1920s, even the 1930s, you'd probably be looking at a price tag of more than $150,000, even maybe $250,000 for an early example. So if you're anything like me, we probably won't be buying an original Cintree anytime soon. But that is what I love about this vintage Tiffany signed Movado with a Cintree case. It embodies everything the 1930s had when it came to vintage watches, and it is a Cintree. This is also for sale in the vintage watch shop, which kind of hurts me to say because I know once this sells, I probably won't be able to own one like it ever again. But it does deserve to be in someone's collection. So make sure you check out the vintage watch shop over at huntingtoncompany.com. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out on any forms of our social media. And as always, I promise you, if you end up purchasing any of these amazing vintage watches or any of the other examples in the vintage watch shop, they will not disappoint.